One of the most unsettling truths about human behavior is that harmful intentions do not always come wrapped in obvious warning signs. In fact, some of the most dangerous individuals are not the ones who appear aggressive, hostile, or threatening. Instead, they often present themselves as exceptionally kind, generous, understanding, and trustworthy. This creates a powerful illusion that can make it difficult for others to recognize what is really happening beneath the surface. While genuine kindness is one of the most valuable qualities a person can possess, there are times when kindness becomes a mask, a carefully crafted image designed to gain trust, lower defenses, and create opportunities for manipulation. Most people naturally assume that kindness reflects good character. When someone offers help, speaks gently, remembers personal details, or goes out of their way to make others feel comfortable, we tend to see them as safe and reliable. This assumption is deeply rooted in human psychology. Trust is essential for relationships, communities, and cooperation. Without it, society would struggle to function. However, individuals with harmful intentions understand this principle very well. They know that appearing kind is often the fastest way to earn trust and avoid suspicion. The challenge is that manipulative people rarely reveal their true motives at the beginning. Instead, they often invest significant effort into building a positive image. They may offer favors, provide emotional support, or present themselves as unusually compassionate. To an outside observer, they can seem like the perfect friend, partner, coworker, or mentor. Their behavior may appear so positive that anyone who questions them seems unreasonable or overly suspicious. This is where the mask becomes effective. The more convincing the image, the harder it becomes for others to recognize warning signs. When troubling behavior eventually appears, people often dismiss it because it conflicts with the positive impression they have already formed. They may tell themselves that the person was having a bad day, that the behavior was misunderstood, or that everyone makes mistakes. The established image of kindness acts like a shield that protects the individual from accountability. One common tactic used by manipulative individuals is selective kindness. Their generosity is not unconditional. Instead, it is carefully directed toward people who can provide something valuable in return. This value may come in the form of loyalty, admiration, influence, information, or emotional control. The kindness may seem genuine, but it often serves a strategic purpose. Once trust is established, the individual may begin making subtle demands, testing boundaries, or influencing decisions in ways that benefit them. Another chilling aspect of hidden manipulation is the ability to create emotional dependency. Some individuals become indispensable by always being available, offering constant support, or positioning themselves as the only person who truly understands someone. At first, this can feel comforting. Over time, however, it can reduce independence and increase reliance on the manipulator. When the relationship becomes deeply established, the same person who once seemed supportive may begin controlling behavior, creating guilt, or using emotional pressure to maintain influence. It is also important to recognize that harmful individuals often study the emotions of others very carefully. They pay attention to vulnerabilities, fears, insecurities, and personal struggles. While genuinely caring people use this knowledge to help and support others, manipulative individuals may use it as a tool. Information shared in confidence can later become leverage. Personal weaknesses can be exploited. Emotional needs can be turned into opportunities for control. Perhaps one of the most confusing experiences for victims is the contrast between public and private behavior. The person may appear exceptionally kind in front of others while acting very differently behind closed doors. Friends, family members, or colleagues may struggle to believe negative reports because they have only witnessed the charming version of the individual. This disconnect can leave victims feeling isolated and doubting their own perceptions. The reality is that true kindness is consistent. It does not disappear when there is nothing to gain. It does not rely on manipulation, control, or hidden agendas. Genuine kindness respects boundaries, encourages independence, and seeks the well-being of others without expecting constant rewards. It remains present even when no one is watching. This does not mean people should become cynical or assume the worst about everyone they meet. Most acts of kindness are sincere and come from good intentions. The goal is not to replace trust with suspicion, but to balance trust with awareness. Paying attention to patterns rather than isolated actions can reveal far more about someone's character. Consistency, accountability, empathy, and respect are often stronger indicators of good character than charm alone. When evaluating people, it is wise to focus not only on how they make you feel in the moment, but also on how they behave over time. Do their actions match their words? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they take responsibility for mistakes? Do they remain kind when there is nothing to gain? These questions often reveal more than grand gestures or impressive displays of generosity. The most dangerous masks are the ones that look the most convincing, which is why awareness is so important. By looking beyond appearances and paying attention to patterns of behavior, you can protect yourself from manipulation while still remaining open to genuine human connection. In the end, character is not revealed by occasional acts of kindness, but by consistent actions that reflect integrity, honesty, and respect. When people think about dangerous personalities or harmful individuals, they often imagine dramatic actions, explosive outbursts, or obvious signs of cruelty. In reality, the darkest aspects of human nature are rarely revealed through grand displays. More often, they emerge through small behaviors that seem insignificant when viewed in isolation. A single comment, a subtle reaction, or a minor action may not appear alarming on its own. However, when these behaviors form a consistent pattern, they can reveal far more about a person's character than their public image ever could. Human beings are skilled at managing impressions. Most people understand how they are expected to behave in social situations, especially when others are watching. They know how to smile, say the right things, and present themselves in a positive light. Because of this, major displays of kindness or generosity can sometimes be misleading. Small, unguarded moments often provide a clearer glimpse into who someone truly is. These are the moments when a person's real attitudes, values, and intentions begin to surface. One of the most revealing behaviors is how a person treats those who have little power or influence over them. It is easy to be polite to someone who can provide opportunities, approval, or benefits. It is much harder to maintain that same level of respect toward people who cannot offer anything in return. The way someone interacts with service workers, strangers, employees, or individuals they consider beneath them can expose attitudes that remain hidden in more important relationships. Disrespect, contempt, or unnecessary cruelty in these situations often points to deeper character issues that should not be ignored. Another subtle sign appears in the way a person reacts to the suffering of others. Most healthy individuals naturally experience empathy when someone is hurt, embarrassed, or facing hardship. They may not always know how to help, but they usually recognize another person's pain and respond with concern. In contrast, some people display amusement, indifference, or even satisfaction when others struggle. They may disguise it as humor, sarcasm, or casual observation, but their reaction reveals an absence of genuine compassion. Over time, this lack of empathy can become one of the clearest indicators of a darker personality. Small acts of dishonesty can also be surprisingly revealing. Many people focus only on major lies, but frequent minor deceptions often tell a more important story. Someone who constantly exaggerates, twists facts, hides information, or manipulates details may be demonstrating a deeper comfort with dishonesty. These behaviors may seem harmless at first, yet they can indicate a willingness to sacrifice truth whenever it becomes inconvenient. Character is often reflected in the choices people make when they believe the consequences are small. The way a person handles responsibility is another powerful clue. When mistakes happen, emotionally mature individuals are generally willing to acknowledge their role and learn from the experience. However, some people instinctively shift blame onto others. They create excuses, distort events, or portray themselves as victims regardless of the circumstances. This pattern may seem minor at first, but it reveals a refusal to accept accountability. Over time, such individuals often create chaos in relationships because they prioritize protecting their image over facing reality. Paying attention to subtle manipulation is equally important. Manipulative behavior rarely begins with obvious control. Instead, it often starts with small tests. A person may pressure someone to ignore a boundary, create guilt over a simple decision, or use emotional tactics to influence behavior. These actions may appear insignificant individually, but they can reveal a desire to control others rather than respect their independence. The most effective manipulators understand that influence is often built gradually, one small step at a time. Another revealing behavior involves how people respond to the success of others. Genuine confidence allows individuals to celebrate the achievements of those around them. Insecure or harmful personalities often struggle with this. They may minimize accomplishments, offer backhanded compliments, spread negativity, or subtly undermine others. Instead of feeling inspired by someone else's success, they view it as a threat. These reactions expose feelings of envy, resentment, and hostility that are often hidden beneath a friendly exterior. The treatment of personal boundaries can reveal important truths as well. Respectful people understand that everyone has limits, preferences, and rights that deserve consideration. They may not always agree with those boundaries, but they acknowledge them. In contrast, individuals with unhealthy motives frequently test or ignore boundaries. They push for more access, more information, more time, or more control than they are entitled to receive. Their reactions when boundaries are enforced often reveal far more than their behavior when everything is going their way. Perhaps the most important lesson is that patterns matter more than isolated incidents. Everyone has moments of weakness, frustration, or poor judgment. A single mistake does not define a person's character. What matters is repetition. When the same troubling behaviors appear again and again, they stop being accidents and start becoming indicators of who someone truly is. Small behaviors are valuable because they are difficult to fake consistently over long periods of time. Many people ignore these warning signs because they are waiting for undeniable proof. They expect harmful individuals to reveal themselves through dramatic actions, but by the time those actions occur, significant damage may already have been done. Learning to recognize subtle patterns allows people to make better decisions about who they trust and how closely they allow others into their lives. The darkest truths about a person are often hidden in plain sight, revealed not through extraordinary actions, but through ordinary moments that most people overlook. Those who learn to pay attention to these small behaviors gain a deeper understanding of human nature and a stronger ability to protect themselves from manipulation, deception, and emotional harm. In the end, character is rarely exposed by what people say about themselves. It is revealed by the countless small choices they make every single day. One of the most valuable skills a person can develop is the ability to recognize warning signs in human behavior before those behaviors create lasting damage. Many people spend years recovering from toxic relationships, manipulative friendships, unhealthy work environments, or emotionally draining interactions simply because they failed to identify the signs early enough. The truth is that protecting your mind and energy is not about becoming suspicious of everyone around you. It is about becoming aware of patterns that reveal whether someone contributes positively to your life or slowly erodes your emotional well-being. Most harmful relationships do not begin in a harmful way. In fact, many start with excitement, trust, admiration, and a sense of connection. This is one reason toxic individuals can be difficult to identify. Their damaging traits are rarely visible from the beginning. Instead, they often emerge gradually, hidden behind charm, kindness, confidence, or charisma. By the time the negative behaviors become obvious, emotional investment has already been made, making it much harder to step away. This is why awareness is such a powerful form of protection. When you understand the signs that often accompany manipulation, dishonesty, emotional control, or harmful intentions, you become less vulnerable to their influence. Awareness allows you to evaluate behavior objectively, rather than being guided entirely by emotions or first impressions. It helps you recognize when something feels wrong, even if you cannot immediately explain why. One of the first signs worth paying attention to is inconsistency. People naturally have good days and bad days, but significant differences between what someone says and what they consistently do should never be ignored. A person may claim to value honesty while frequently lying. They may speak about loyalty while repeatedly betraying trust. They may present themselves as caring while showing little concern for the feelings of others. When words and actions fail to align, actions almost always reveal the truth. Another important warning sign is the constant draining of emotional energy. Healthy relationships generally leave people feeling respected, understood, and emotionally balanced. Even during disagreements, there is a sense of mutual respect. Toxic interactions often produce the opposite effect. You may feel exhausted after conversations, anxious before seeing the person, or emotionally overwhelmed by their constant demands, criticism, or drama. While occasional stress exists in every relationship, a consistent pattern of emotional depletion deserves serious attention. Learning to identify manipulation is equally important. Manipulative individuals often avoid direct control because obvious pressure can create resistance. Instead, they use subtle methods such as guilt, obligation, fear, or emotional confusion. They may make you feel responsible for their happiness, pressure you into decisions, or create situations where saying no feels selfish. Over time, these tactics can weaken confidence and make it harder to trust your own judgment. Recognizing these patterns early prevents them from gaining power over your thoughts and emotions. Respect for boundaries is another powerful indicator of character. Healthy individuals understand that every person has limits. They respect personal space, opinions, time, and emotional needs. Harmful individuals often react differently. They may ignore boundaries, challenge them, mock them, or repeatedly test them. Their goal is often to see how much control they can gain or how much resistance they will encounter. The way someone responds to a boundary often reveals more about their character than the way they behave when everything is going their way. Protecting your energy also requires paying attention to how people make you feel about yourself. Healthy relationships encourage growth, confidence, and self-respect. They create an environment where people feel supported without feeling controlled. Toxic individuals often create the opposite effect. They may constantly criticize, undermine achievements, create self-doubt, or make others feel inadequate. These behaviors can be subtle at first, but their long-term impact on mental and emotional health can be significant. Many people ignore warning signs because they want to believe the best about others. While optimism is an admirable quality, it should not replace observation. Trust should be built through consistent behavior, not granted solely because someone appears charming, confident, or persuasive. Some of the most emotionally damaging individuals rely on the assumption that people will ignore red flags in order to maintain harmony or avoid conflict. It is also important to understand that protecting your mind and energy is not selfish. Many people feel guilty when distancing themselves from harmful influences. They worry about disappointing others or being perceived as unkind. However, preserving emotional well-being is a responsibility, not a luxury. Just as you would protect your physical health from known dangers, it is equally reasonable to protect your mental and emotional health from behaviors that repeatedly cause harm. The more you develop awareness, the less likely you are to become trapped in cycles of manipulation, emotional exhaustion, or unhealthy dependency. You begin recognizing patterns sooner. You trust your